Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome to Conversations with Christy. And we've got Karina with us today. I am so excited. I'm so excited for this. So,
Same,
we are
same,
here.
same.
I know. We are here today, guys. Oh, am I very pixely? Do I need
A
to?
little pixely. It goes in and out, I think.
Does it? Oh, dadgummit.
Yes, the internet
Guys,
gods, sometimes they are kind, sometimes they are
you
unkind.
know, and I'm freezing. Let me try one thing. I will be right back in.
Okay.
Hang tight.
Okay. I hope everyone had an amazing holiday. I was just talking a little bit with Ben and Christy about how nice it is that our country has a holiday dedicated to gratitude and Thanksgiving. So
Yeah,
hopefully, all of us, no matter what situations we find ourselves in, we're able to find some pieces of things we are grateful for. I feel like sometimes, setting our vibration high and holding on to some of those things that are really meaningful to us can be helpful.
absolutely. And guys, even in times when it is difficult, maybe holidays are hard for you, right? For whatever reason. Um, just knowing that you're here and your soul has this beautiful mission, and really seeing things can be such a way to show gratitude and reframe it for yourself, you know.
Mhm.
But I love that, like Karina said, that we get an opportunity to really get to just stop and see all of the things that uh what okay. uh Teresa, are you paired to our channel? It says paired. Are we streaming to everything? See, guys, this is where I don't really know what's going on here. um
Mercury is also retrograde. I'll just throw that in there. I have been experiencing quite a few calendar mishaps, schedule mishaps, technology mishaps. We'll
oh,
talk a little bit more about Mercury retrograde. Is it next week or the week after? Probably when we talk about Capricorn season. But we
yay,
are already in
yay.
our Mercury retrograde fun times.
You guys, and this morning my camera kept dropping. Like, I mean, it was just a whole thing. And I was telling everybody today, I'm like, be prepared for this week because this is um a week where I this is a week where could be a lot of passive aggressive energy, could be very difficult because we've got Mercury in retrograde right now. And then I know this is a big
Mhm.
one for me, and it's a big one for you, Karina, as well. Mars going in
Yes,
retrograde.
this
And
week.
so I'm like, yay. So
Yay!
I'm not really sure, I'm just, so we did a whole reading this morning. We're like, how can we manage these energies of what that looks like? So just be gracious to yourself and breathe. Just breathe. We've got some really cool people in today. We've got Witchy Trista. Hello. Ben Bacon Bits.
Oh,
Hello. Kim. Hi. Truth Wave Energy Meditation. Guys, if you have not checked out that channel, they do a guided meditation in the mornings and at nights. It's like
uh,
a 30-minute one. It is amazing. So I really, really want to encourage you guys, go check that out. They've got a great channel over there. And let's see, I just seen Jamie's Cowboys. Hello. And then we've got Teresa here. Hello. So, guys, we're going to get right into it. Karina and I, back in August, I was still in North Dakota. We had a phone
yeah.
call, and I was like, we should do a tarot class. And Karina's like, yes, we should. And my husband was driving, and he's just like, he's like, and here we go. And so we really sat down and put so much thought into this. And this is something that I have not publicly shared, but I'm going to share it okay, for the first time here. And this is not me being self deprecating. This is, remember how we talked about archetypal energy, saboteur, that kind of thing, right? So, right before we were supposed to record our very first tarot, and it was just the intro, guys. Like, we weren't talking about any cards, we weren't going through anything. We were going over the intro. So, there's 10 classes in this tarot class, right? I had this panic moment, and I call Eva and I call Mindy, and I send him a voice clip, and I'm like, I don't know that I can do this. I don't know what I can bring to this.
Oh.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I live in an RV. Like, what am I going to do? I don't have an actual studio. Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to say? Karina is so smart because you guys, the amount of astrology I have learned seriously from Karina just in this when it comes to the cards has blown my mind. And I knew that there was going to be amazing astrology. Now, I had no clue it was going to be this level. So anyway, we get in, we do the intro, and I'm like, okay. So then we record the next class, and she's like, would you like to go first? And I'm like, yes. So then whatever card it was, I don't even remember. No, it was swords. It was the Ace of Swords. And I was like, okay, I can talk about this. This is my own energy. I can do this. So I yammer on, guys, for however long. And then Karina goes, the astrology behind this is this, and this reflects this card, and this does this, and this is represents this planet and this thing. And I have never been so grateful in my life that I talked first because I thought if I would have followed that, I would have just been like, and
I
so
okay, so
even
I feel like I almost have to interrupt you here, Christy, because you are not giving yourself enough credit for the amazing energy you bring. And I think one thing that is really special about our collaboration is we are bringing some different things. And for everyone
yes,
listening, tarot is basically it is a way we can allow the universe to speak to us,
mm-hmm.
one of many. There's the I Ching, there's
Yeah,
divination, there's pendulums, there's cloud watching, there's tea leaves. There's many, many ways we
uh-huh.
can give the universe opportunities to speak with us. Um, but but with tarot, it's not a science as much as an art. And so I feel
Right.
like, bringing different perspectives in is very important. And I have read books by multiple people, taken tarot classes with multiple people, because no one person has everything. Each person is
Right.
kind of coming with their own lens, and we can learn something amazing from each person. But I think what's really special, Christy, about our collaboration is that we're bringing different things. You know more about the meaning
Yeah.
of the colors and the numerology, and I'm bringing more of the astrological and the historical. And so it feels like a very complementary
It it
energy. But
it
yours
was.
is not less than. Like,
Well,
our energies are very, very compatible.
they are. And by the time we got through with that story, by the time we got a few cards in, I was able to kind of breathe. And I was like, okay, you know what? You do know what you're talking about. Okay. Because I had like such
Exactly. You
imposter
do.
syndrome. And
Oh.
but then it was this beautiful flow. And what I loved was that Karina would bring this stuff. Guys, I went back. Now, I haven't shown anybody this yet because I didn't want to give it away. But this is all of the air signs right here. I wrote this stuff down. And it's like Moon in Libra and what that means, and Saturn in Libra, Jupiter in Libra,
Mm.
Venus in Aquarius. I wrote all of this stuff down and I did it for every single thing that we've gone through. And then to make sure that I was good, I wrote down the houses, the signs, the planets, what the planets mean, and the symbols, um, because I want to integrate this into my readings. And
Mm.
so as we were talking about it, we were so in the flow that I couldn't just like be like, hold that thought and write it down. So, we wrote, but it is so um, all inclusive. And I want to encourage you, even if you've been reading for years, and I've been reading tarot for years, I have
Mm.
learned so much, and being able to share like this was so beautiful. I've never seen a class like
Mhm.
this put together this way. I'm not saying that we're the only one, but I'm saying I just haven't seen it offered this way. And it's something that I wish I would have had when I started. And if you guys already know and you've been reading tarot for a while, I want to encourage you to also give it give it a chance, because there is
Mm-hmm.
so much there, that just the knowledge is, I go back and I'm like, oh wow, and but it's a good thing because we have two very different takes. But what I love
Mm-hmm.
too is that we even talked about the cards we had difficulty reading. I mean, there were a couple
Yeah.
where it's like I didn't know what to make of this card. And there were a couple that not only did I not know, but Karina's like, yeah, I had trouble with this one too. The Nine of
Mm-hmm.
Cups is one of them. We were just like,
Mm-hmm.
when we were learning, we were kind of like, what do you think? So it's beautiful because what it is, instead of somebody sitting there just giving you all of this information like I tend to do, it's a conversation. And it's like, okay, there's this, and okay, it's that, and it flows. And
Yeah.
I think it's just, so I was super nervous, um, but only because I was nervous about my own self. And I'm not saying
Oh.
that to be self deprecating or anything like it. That's kind of how I am when I first start something. And I remember we were talking about the Queen of Swords, and I was like, okay, well, this is me. There's also that level of honesty too, of like, I
Yeah.
can be this way. But then again, I learned something about the kings and the queens and the knights and the pages that I didn't know either from Karina. So um, it's just, and I'm not saying this just because it's ours, but because there was so much thought that went into it that I appreciate. So I know you guys are gonna love this. Karina, what did you think about the whole thing?
Yeah, when I've taken tarot classes in the past, I've never taken classes where there were two equal presenters,
Uh huh.
and um, I'm I loved what we did because I
Mm-hmm.
even felt like there were areas where you would say something, and we were even having some realizations on the fly, during the
Mm-hmm.
class as we would kind of
Mm-hmm.
build off of each other, in a
Yeah.
way that I'm realizing. Um, yeah, I think as you were saying, Chrissy, I haven't really seen that before. And I
Mm-hmm.
think one thing also, you and I are so passionate about
Yeah.
tarot. And this isn't, we're talking about something we're kind of half-hearted about. We're talking
Right.
about something that has been a core part of our
Mm-hmm.
lives and
Mm-hmm.
continues to be. And we have learned a lot about ourselves. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think there is something. Um, uh, yeah, I feel like our passion and enthusiasm kind of got infused into the classes as well, because neither one of us can talk about the subject for very long without getting like all excited. And
Yes.
so, yeah, I feel like there was a lot of good energy there. And then we did really put time and thought
Mm-hmm.
into even, the way we presented the cards, the way we broke them
Mm-hmm.
up. So many people who are newer or new-ish to tarot, or sometimes even people who've been reading for a long time, don't know, there are so many cards. There are 78 cards. That's a lot if you're just going to try to do rote memorization.
Yeah.
And so I think, breaking it up in logical groups where people can kind of see not only that card and what it means, but how it relates to other cards around it. I think
Mm-hmm.
that also helps because my goal with tarot is that no one has to just memorize the cards. There's a
Right.
sense of like, okay, there's the Eight of Swords, but the Eight of Swords
Mm-hmm.
doesn't exist in a vacuum. There's a whole sword story. There's a Seven of Swords
Right.
right before it. There's a Nine of Swords right after it. And so when we
Right.
see the cards as almost slices of life, a scene of a play,
Mm-hmm.
it feels more like you don't have to memorize it. You can kind of just see the big picture and then easily see the slice, when you pull a particular card. And so I think that was really something we tried to do too, organize the cards in a way that um, we weren't just pulling them out like, oh, here's the Five of Swords, here's the Seven of Pentacles. We were really trying to
Right.
think about how to present them in a way so people understand the holistic way they fit into the tarot deck.
Yes, and I love that we called it the story because that's another thing that I never really kind of considered before. And so
Mm.
as we were going through each one, you really do seeing the story makes it different. It makes it easier. And even like if you've been reading for years, um uh you you can see you get an idea of how things flow um, easier, and I think it really kind of helps because you can think of those cards in those stories, and to me it was very, very beautiful. Teresa,
Mhm.
did you get everything figured out? It looks like you did. I'm glad you're back. I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. uh, Mercury retrograde, right?
Seriously, I do not feel every Mercury retrograde, but I have
Uh-huh.
definitely been feeling this one. There is something kind of unique about it. You know, it was kind of close to the Sag new moon
Mm-hmm.
on
Mm-hmm.
Saturday. So yeah, I don't know if that kind of gave Mercury, infused it with some extra energy. And Mercury in Sagittarius is always a little bit, you know, thinks about the big picture but misses some of the details. You know, Sagittarius opposite Gemini. Gemini is all about the details. Sagittarius, not so
Right.
much. So yeah, I feel like we're all kind of experiencing that Mercury retrograde energy.
And that's exactly what my thing is. It's just um yeah, it's inconvenient, but this has been much more inconvenient
Yeah,
uh to me. I'm like,
on
okay.
almost every level. Yeah, on almost every
Right.
level. It's been a little bit crazy. Um,
Yeah.
but like usually I am so on top of my calendar, but I had an early morning astrology reading and
Uh-huh.
last week, and somehow I slept through my alarm and I woke up exactly as the reading was supposed to be starting. And I
Oh
was like,
no.
"This is not who I am." And, you know, I
Right.
texted the person, like, everything was fine. We started 10 minutes late. That gave me enough time to
Uh-huh.
put myself together a little bit, get my coffee.
Right.
But, yeah, I was like, "This is just not me." I am a person who wakes up with their alarm, who's very good in the morning. So, yeah, this Mercury retrograde has just felt like something else.
Well, and if you're like me and you like fly in to you guys, this is me. If you don't know who I am, like I'm fixing to let you know here. I fly in like 1 minute before the live is supposed to start. I'm fumbling around trying to get everything done. And this is when Mercury isn't in retrograde. And I'm like, we're going to get there. Okay, okay, all right, here we are. And so that's your energy anyway, and you're kind of like flying by the seat of your pants most. And you guys, I set alarms. I really do. I'm like, okay, I've got an hour. All right, now I need to start getting ready. And then I'm like, well, I can fudge it 10 minutes, and that's what happens. And then I'm like, oh, I need to make my coffee. I need to do this. So when you're already running on a shoestring, when stuff like this happens, it's oh my
Yeah. Yeah, this
God.
is the time when budgeting yourself a little bit of extra time for everyone
So
here is helpful while Mercury is
yeah.
retrograde, especially with this Mercury retrograde.
Oh my goodness. Well, and so as we talk about Mercury and the planets, I thought it was very interesting how the planets correlate to a lot of these different cards. And I didn't really
Mm,
understand that. And as you started sharing that with me, and I, like I said, went back and wrote it all down. I actually did a reading the other day, and I did two readings for, and I'm like, okay, I swear to you, I know what I'm doing, but I'm trying to incorporate this. So I'm going to
yeah.
be checking these notes. And it gave me such a deeper level to go to with it because I'm like, I found myself going, oh, I know what this means. And so
Yeah.
I'm just gonna pick something. I don't know that it was this, but be like uh Jupiter in Capricorn. Okay, Jupiter represents this and Capricorn represents this. And so what it really means is change. And this, and so
Mm,
it made more
yeah.
sense to me. And it's been helping me with my astrology because I've been better understanding the planets and what they mean and those types of things, that I had an idea. I wasn't confident enough at the beginning, but I'm starting to get that confidence now. And
Yeah.
so I'm very excited as I'm incorporating this. And I've been very careful not to incorporate a lot of this before we launched it because I was like, I don't want to, I want to wait until the launch. I want to let everybody
Yeah.
hear what's
Yeah.
going on, and then I'll start doing this. But for the
Yeah.
readings that I did, and one was a private reading, the person was just like, I can't believe how accurate this is and how on point this
Mhm.
is. And I was like, well, I'm not going to lie. There's a little bit of depth that has been brought in by the astrology of it because you guys, I
Yeah.
had just enough understanding to be dangerous, right? Like, just enough. Like, if I was a mechanic, I could work on your brakes, but I wouldn't maybe trust it driving around a mountain pass, right? Like, that's kind of where I was. Like, I could maybe get you to stop in town, but mountain pass in the snow, I might not be your chick. You know what I mean? So I found that to be really interesting. Was there anything that you kind of, because we both had these moments of revelations, but was there anything that sticks out to you that you just went, I had no idea? Or was it
Yeah.
all just a great experience for you? Or how
I
did
think
you
a
see it?
couple of things because we go through each card over the course, like
Uh-huh.
each card gets its own dedicated time that we talk about it.
Hmm.
Um, I was, and you were talking more about the colors, which
Uh-huh.
I have been peripherally aware of the colors, but I don't
Uh-huh.
typically incorporate them strongly into the readings.
Uh-huh.
And that was really mind blowing for me. And then, even just because we're spending time on each of the cards,
Hmm.
there were new things I would notice. So
Hmm.
we focused on mostly the Rider Waite Smith deck,
Hmm.
and so there would be cards where I would see a little bird in the distance in the card that I
Yeah.
hadn't noticed before, and
Right.
yeah, I feel like um, what is beautiful about tarot as a medium for the universe communicating with us is that
Hmm.
we're kind of giving the universe a palette. We're giving it
Right.
all of these images it can use to communicate with us. And the more tuned in we are to all of the symbolism and the correspondences and the
Hmm.
colors, the numerology, the astrology, Kabbalah, there are so many things that are kind of incorporated into the cards. We're just giving the universe a bigger palette. Instead of
Yeah.
communicating, with like a yes or no, we're saying, here
Hmm.
are all of these symbols, all of these associations. When I see this card, what colors are there?
Uh-huh.
What number is associated with this card? What is the astrology associated with this card? And so all together, it kind of builds up such a full picture. So,
Yeah.
you might go from just having maybe a couple sentences to say about the card to just
Uh-huh.
like, wow, there's so much to say about this card. It's hard to even know where to start.
Yes.
And I think for everyone, that is one of the most valuable things as you move forward in your tarot practice. Um,
Hmm.
with most people who start, this makes sense. This is the beginner place. But there's sort of a focus on either the guidebook or just
Hmm.
on what seems very obvious in the card. Okay, this figure doesn't look happy, right? Um, and those are valuable things. The guidebook is a
Uh-huh.
valuable help. If the person looks unhappy, valuable. But there are so many other things to notice in the cards.
Yeah.
And so, again, to really enrich your tarot readings, whether they're for others or for yourself, it's helpful to just learn as much as you can about the cards and their correspondences, their symbolism, so that you're giving the universe all of these ways to connect with you. And
Yes.
then I feel like there is um, we all have our own um, what am I trying to say? Associations with things as well. So, for example,
Hmm.
maybe someone's favorite, maybe Christy, maybe your favorite color is green. And so for
Right.
you, the universe knows that green is a color you have positive associations with. And then
Hmm.
when green comes up in a tarot card, the universe is trying to show you some positive associations. And so I think one thing that's helpful too is as we learn all of the symbolism, all of the correspondences, then the
Hmm.
universe can start to bring us things that are more personalized to us as well. It's kind of like
Yes.
once we build that foundational layer where we turn
Mhm.
over each card and we feel confident reading it and we don't feel apprehensive, like we're not going to know what this card means in a reading,
Right.
then the
Right.
universe really will start to bring in specific things like maybe you just were ringing a bell earlier and then you draw a card that has a bell on it and some things that are very targeted to you and
Hmm.
you'll start to see the universe speak to you in more unique ways. But it can be
Yeah.
harder to get to that point if you don't really understand the depth and symbolism and kind of have a foundational knowledge of the cards. You know, um,
Yeah.
ideally, when we're reading the cards to have the broadest possible palette, we're reading intuitively, based on our
Hmm.
own experiences, thoughts, associations with the images on the cards, and then also reading, historically, factually, what these
Yeah.
symbols and cards were meant to mean, and
Right.
combining those two together just creates an amazing, rich tarot reading experience. So
It
I feel
does,
like,
and
yeah, that was a very long answer, Christy. That was a
no,
very
but
long answer. But I think
it's
putting it
so
all
true.
together is what
Mhm.
really was mind blowing for me. The colors, the numerology, the astrology, it's kind of like each thing feels like you're just kind of building this picture
Yeah.
to the point where you see so much more. There are so many more possibilities.
Yes. And one of the things we talked about was associating cards with people that we knew. And
Mm.
when we got into the kings, I was like, oh, this is my brother. And we got into the queens. And guys, okay, so I love history, I love politics. A couple of the cards I might have compared to some of the first ladies of the United States, but if you know, you're like, this makes sense. And it's how
Yeah,
my brain
totally.
works. And so there was a lot of stuff in real time there that was kind of happening, and that was one of the things that we both encourage everybody to do is see how you can associate a card with a person. And sometimes that's not always positive. I associate the Nine of Swords,
Mhm.
which is not the prettiest card, um, with somebody, so that helps me to understand that card as well. So there's a lot of things there that really you can make resonate with yourself, like Karina said. Let's
Mm.
talk about, because I see Witchy Trista brought up, she's got cat tarot, which we both would love,
Oh,
and
love,
use
love.
their own symbols. I have a Mystical Cats tarot. It will be interesting to see how it and other decks use their own symbols in the art compared to the Rider Waite symbols. The reason we picked the Rider Waite, we were very specific about this because when we talked about it, we're like, what are we going to do? Because, like, I have a well, I think we both have the Starscape tarot deck, but Karina has a Winnie the Pooh deck that is super cute.
Yeah,
There's
I've got
all
many
kinds.
decks. Yeah.
Yes, there's all kinds. And so, we were like, how are we going to teach this? And so we really thought, we're going to take it to the basics and we're going to start with the original. And once you get that down, then you can expand out. But starting with, especially when you're first learning, because like Witchy Trista said, a lot of different decks, some of them don't even have the same imagery. And if you're learning and you see this beautiful 10 of swords or this beautiful 3 of swords, you're not going to have the same image as you do when you see that Rider Waite uh, 10 of swords. Because when you see that card, you're like, oh, well, what's going on here? Whereas if it's very dreamy and pretty, it might not have the same meaning. So this is good for beginners to start with this particular deck, so that you get a good understanding. And then once you know what these cards represent, not only, historically and everything else, as you expand out, um, you can find other things in the decks that represent things. But like we said, we were finding all kinds of things in there. I learned something about the salamander showing up. I was like, look, I had no idea why the salamander was always showing up. Karina kind of had an insight to it. I'm like, oh, that's why that's there. I wondered. I thought maybe, it was, but there's everything is so intentional. And
Yes.
and I love that. For my brain, that is a really nice thing, to know that there, because I'm always asking why. Well, why is that there? Or why is that there? And sometimes, like, how do you even ask the question? Like, why does
Yeah.
this card have this? And, when you've got someone discussing it, it can really help you. And these classes, so there's 10 of them, and they run what, like an hour and 30 minutes, hour
Hour
45,
45. Yeah.
about an hour 45
Yeah.
for each one. So
Yeah.
the whole air,
Because we
the
can't
whole,
stop talking when we get started about tarot.
and some of them we just were like, I know in my head I was like, okay, Christy, you need to kind of reel it in here.
It's
We're
really
going to be here
hard
for
because
4 hours.
honestly, yeah, honestly, it could have been even longer. I felt like,
Yeah.
um, you know, yeah, even though it sounds like a lot, 10 classes at
Yeah.
an hour 30, hour 45 minutes each,
Yeah.
it still feels like it's scratching the surface and it's giving like that full, complete foundation. But there's just
Mm-hmm.
always so much deeper you can go. And I love,
Yeah.
Witchy Trista's comment about, yeah, the mystical cats tarot. Interesting to see how
Uh-huh.
it, their symbols are versus the Rider Waite's. Yeah, we were very intentional using the Rider Waite. And I, again, as Christy and I have both talked about, we have many decks. We have read from many decks.
Yeah.
Um, but there is what am I trying to say? So the Rider Waite deck was created from the members of the Order of the Golden Dawn, which was one of the biggest, the most famous um, Hermetic orders based in England, and it lasted. There have been many Hermetic orders all over the world, but the Order of the Golden Dawn really had a lot of staying power. There were some amazing scholars there who studied ancient Egyptian mythology, various types of mythology. Yeah, nothing in the Rider Waite deck is accidental. All of
Right.
that symbolism that's there means something because the
Mm-hmm.
scholars who made it had so much historical knowledge. And
Yeah.
I definitely have some decks that they are gorgeous. I love them. I read from them
Mm-hmm.
all the time. But I don't think the creators of those decks have the depth of knowledge that the Rider Waite Smith crew did. And so,
Yeah.
again, this is where I feel like it's incredibly important to kind of have a good scholarly base to
Mm-hmm.
understand the symbolism of the cards that have lasted, have become, the Rider Waite Smith deck. And I almost consider its sister deck to be the Thoth deck, since Crowley was
Right.
connected with the
Right.
Order of the Golden Dawn. So I feel like those are kind of sister decks. But they spent so much time studying, and they knew the
Mm-hmm.
Kabbalah, they knew all the Egyptian mythologies and symbolism. Um, so having that as a base, then I feel
Mm-hmm.
like all of us are well equipped to go out and use decks we think are just beautiful. Because I'm not going to
Right.
say the Rider-Waite-Smith deck is my favorite from a beauty artistry standpoint. The
Right.
colors are really
Right. Yeah.
vivid, but I'm just not going to say it's
Yeah.
my favorite looking from an
Agreed.
artistic standpoint. But again, then I can go to those other decks and take in that beautiful, rich imagery. But I
Mhm.
also know all of the core symbolism of what the Three of Swords would be, or the Ten of Swords, or the Seven of Pentacles, or whatever the card is.
Right, right, which is making a big difference because then when you understand that in these other more artistic decks, you might be able to pull out something different that you then take
Exactly.
take with you and add to what's going on. So we have three different options. Hold on, guys.
Whoops, there goes the camera.
This is my ever patient husband who is so gracious with me as I do all of these. We are talking about reading tarot. Do you have any helpful insights into tarot you would like to give us?
Helpful insights.
Yes, into tarot.
Now that's funny. Uh, I don't know that I can give any insights. Um, try to think good, happy thoughts.
There
There
you
you
go.
go.
There you go.
That's a good
Um,
one. That's a good one. Bring positivity to
No
the
dark
readings.
negative thoughts.
no
No
dark
dark.
negative thoughts. Will you go get me a charger cord? Because my phone's at like 20%.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh.
oh yes, Edgar is asleep here on the couch next to me. I
Oh.
just need the actual cord. So what I was going to say before my husband came home was we have a really fun option. So we have three different kind of levels, if you would. And the one that we're most excited about is the all-inclusive one. And it includes an opportunity to talk tarot with Karina and I to ask us questions. So what is going to happen is we're pre-selling this month and the classes are not going to start until January 6th because we wanted to make sure that if you were giving this to someone for Christmas, which it would be a great Christmas gift if you got this class and gave them a deck and was like, here, learn tarot. Um, we didn't want anybody to miss out on that. So we are going to start classes on January 6th. Now, with the all-inclusive, thank you, with the all-inclusive one, you actually, so we are going to drop a class and you guys are going to get a week to study it and all of that. And then you are going to get an opportunity twice a month to have a Zoom call with Karina and I and ask questions that you might have. And then with this elite package, we're going to record those Q&A sessions for you and you get to keep those for life. So that is one thing that I am super excited about, is that my husband is inspecting my paint job, guys. I've been painting cabinets. But that is very much one of those things that I think is exciting. And I didn't learn from somebody like that. So I didn't ever get an opportunity to really ask my teachers questions. And I think that is really a cool thing to be able to do because
Mhm.
if I had questions, I didn't know. I was like on Google or looking at the book or trying to figure something out. And I didn't have a way to ask questions. So I'm very excited about that, and seeing the questions people come up with, and getting a chance to chat with people. And so I think that is a very fun option.
Yeah, I am so excited for this as well because I feel like even Christy, seeing the way you and I were able to build on top of each other, creating the
Yeah.
classes, there really is something special about having a little community. People ask
Yeah.
questions, that brings more questions. People share their
Yeah.
experiences. It's a richer experience than just watching a
Yeah.
lecture. And I feel like
Yeah.
it also encourages people to get out there practicing with their decks.
Mhm.
Because I've also bought some tarot classes that are just pre recorded videos, there's no interactive component. Um, and I've learned a lot from those, but
Mhm.
you're not really, there's no accountability to actually try, like, oh, let
Right.
me try this spread. How do I read this card differently after I've taken this
Yeah.
class? Because yeah, there's no check-in point. And so
Right.
although our class does not have official like homework that you must do, we do have some exercises that you can
Yes.
try throughout that week, and then come with questions to the live Q&As with both of us. And so it kind of gives you that opportunity to watch the pre-recorded video, think about the material, have some prompts to start using that
Mhm.
material,
Mhm.
and then a place to kind of come back and talk real time with us and with other participants, so that we can kind
Yes.
of, yeah, all learn from each other and create that space, um, almost like a little interactive classroom space. So yeah, I'm
Right.
definitely excited to see what comes out of that, because so
Yes.
much, I mean, of course, you and I will be there to answer questions, Christy, but I
Right.
do
Right.
feel like there's something special about
Mhm.
everybody bringing their thoughts, their experiences, their questions, their difficulties, where the sum of that will be greater than its parts.
Right. And what I love is not only that opportunity to grow and learn further, but it's recorded and you get to have it forever. So if you're like, wait, what did that one person say about that? You can go back and get it. It doesn't ever go away. And with this exclusive package, you get lifetime access to it. So like for your whole entire life, if you are 5 years down the road and you're like, wait, what how did this card relate to that? Let me go back and look. So I love that because again, I think it's something that kind of sets this class apart. Another thing that we're going to talk about, or that we talk about a lot, is being ethical in your readings, interviewing
Mhm.
your tarot deck, and different types of spreads to use. A lot of classes will just kind of give you that, okay, here's the swords, the wands, the cups, the pentacles, this is what they mean, here's the spread, here's the book, good luck. um, but they don't teach you how to be an ethical reader. They don't teach you the
Mhm.
questions that you should ask or you shouldn't ask, or how to ask a better question, or even like, I love to interview my tarot deck. And Karina, it is something that you didn't do before, right? Like you
No,
hadn't
you
really.
you taught me how to do that. Yeah,
and
I would
and
dive
it's
right in.
and guys, what's amazing about that is it teaches you. So you take your deck and you ask it like 7 very specific questions. How are we meant to work together? What is your strength as a deck? What is your weakness as a deck? How do you see me? There's a few other questions in there too. It is so helpful because every deck has its own energy. And I can tell you that by interviewing my decks, it helped me to know which deck to go to. If I needed an answer, like
Yeah.
bam, I knew, okay, I can go to this deck, I can go to this deck. If somebody called me up and they're like, Christy, I need answers right now, I'd be like, here's 3 decks. Which one do you want? If it was dreamy and lovey and airy and like a love reading, then, I would use a deck that was, something a little bit different. So it really was helpful to me when I was intuitively selecting decks for readings for other people. It helped me to know that, and I would actually write it down. In tarot journaling is another thing that we talk about.
Yes.
You guys know I talk about spiritual journaling all the time. We talk about tarot journaling, um, and how helpful that can be. What are you looking for? I think he's going to take the buddy dogs. O-U-T. Um, so even little things like that that I had to search and find, and to be honest with you, I don't even know, I don't remember how I came up with it. I don't know if it's that someone told me to do that or I just was Googling tarot spreads and found that, to be honest with you. But it has been so helpful, and
Mm,
such a game changer for me. And so there's even little things like that, in there where we talk about, if you see this card in a love reading, um, it's this. Sweetie's very excited.
yes.
You know,
Oh.
it means this, and so I think that's another great benefit, is that additional information that, like, you don't necessarily always get either. Um,
Mhm.
you know,
Yes,
with
so
the
many people I know have learned tarot just by Googling bits and pieces. And
yeah,
absolutely, like that is a
absolutely.
place to start 100%. But it's not, yeah,
Right.
it doesn't really build that strong foundation. It's more like you kind of grab these bits and pieces and then feel like you're kind of assembling a picture, but
Right.
it feels
Right.
incomplete. Like there are some pieces you understand better than others. And I think for sure, like interviewing a deck, ethical reading, how to read some of like those difficult cards. If someone's asking a
Mm-hmm.
question and you're getting, the Tower, the Three of Swords, there are multiple cards that are tricky to kind of read
Yeah.
for other people. Yeah, and things like the tarot journaling. Um, there's so much there, and it's not like anyone watching needs to do exactly what we do, but it's almost like by seeing some concrete examples of possibilities, people could choose
Mhm.
to do that, or they could choose to iterate on it a little bit and be creative. But it gives a nice
Yeah.
starting point so that people aren't
Mhm.
starting from nothing. They're kind of like, oh, okay, here's something, Christy does. I could, yeah, let me try that. Okay, maybe
Right.
I'll tweak it a little bit. But yeah, hopefully it's
Yeah.
providing everybody a really great baseline structure so that you
Mm-hmm.
can kind of jump off from there and incorporate your own intuition, your own tweaks to the processes. Yeah, but I
Right.
think just having some concrete stuff given to you right off the bat is really helpful. And I think, yeah, absolutely is something special about this class. I do feel like most of the classes talk almost entirely about the cards without talking about some of those other bigger picture ethics, spreads, things like that.
Right. And I think ethics are really important because you can be asked to read, some things that, quite honestly, and this is my swordsy way, are maybe not something, maybe not something
Yeah.
that somebody else, wants you to read. And you've got to remember, when you're reading this, you are reading other people's energies. You are in their energy. For me, I feel it in my body. I can feel, a lot of times I'll be shuffling, especially if I'm doing a private reading. I'm like, are you nervous? Just relax, because I can feel it. I can
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
that type of thing. And I don't think it's anything that, people think about, is, the ethical side of it. It's talked
Yeah.
about a little bit, what kind of readings we do. Like, I don't do readings around death. Don't ask me if
Mhm.
somebody's going to pass away or how you're going to go or anything like that, because that's just not something that's done. And I think it helps you too if you're ever watching somebody else, or you go somewhere else, or you see someone else, or you've got a friend. I've got a funny story about this here in a minute, but you've got a friend who maybe is watching somebody and they're not being ethical. You can actually say, this isn't correct. My friend sent me the most, this person was so far off on the meanings of the cards, so far off
Mm.
on the story. Um, and she was like, what do you think about this? And I was like, oh, please tell me that you didn't pay for this, that you didn't, like, is this a joke? And she was like, yes, it is, because I know that they're not ethical, and they're not even reading the cards correctly. Like, they were, the Two
Mm.
of Swords showed up and they were saying something completely different. and it was around a twin flame reading, which Karina and I are very careful about. I don't
Very
do this.
careful. Yep, yep.
Um, and but this person had a lot of subscribers, and this person was influencing a lot of people, but not doing it properly. And so it helps you to notice that too, so that you can see, okay,
Mm.
I resonate with this person. I want to watch them. Or, ooh, I'm going to steer clear of this, and I'm going to make sure my friends steer clear of this as well. Um, and I think that you can run into, like we talked about with the false teachers and healers, you can run into
Mhm.
some of that. And knowing the ethical questions, knowing how to ask them and what you should and shouldn't do, I think is a huge help in that instance. So again, something that it took me, I mean, it was kind of hit and hit and miss for a little bit for me to figure it out, like, okay, well, why don't you read for that? Or why do you do this? And I always liked it when tarot readers were very upfront because it helped me to learn. But we talk about this in the class, as far
Mhm.
as this is why you don't do that.
Yeah, it's so true. And even just kind of taking a step back for people who want to read for others, whether that's professionally or just friends and family,
Mhm.
yeah, it is really important to think about your boundaries, think about your lines, because if you don't, in the
Mhm.
moment, someone's going to be asking you for something. And in that moment, you're going to be thinking, do I do this? This doesn't feel quite right, but I don't know. Maybe
Right.
it's fine. Like, it's really good to think about things like that up front. And then even
Mhm.
kind of building the foundation. What many, and I hear this because of course, I have so many friends who, go to various tarot readers. And a lot of people who go to tarot readers know something about the cards. And so, if you're reading for others and don't have kind of a solid foundation,
Mhm.
um, and are kind of only going off of intuition and the vibe you're getting from the card, you may come across as unreliable, even if you don't mean to be, even if
Yeah.
you have some really valuable things to share. Because if someone
Mhm.
knows, for example, what the symbolism is for the Two of Swords, and you're reading
Right.
something completely different because you don't have that foundation, um, yeah, it's just tricky. I always tell people, if you want to just use your intuition, get an oracle deck.
Yes.
And those are
Yeah.
much more suited to individual interpretations. Even though
Mhm.
those also have guidebooks, they don't have the history and symbolism associated with them that the tarot deck does. But with tarot, it is
Right.
really important to be viewed as reputable and knowledgeable, to have that baseline understanding, so that you
Oh,
don't end up
absolutely.
finding that the person you're reading for knows more about it than you do. Animal stuff, I'm guessing.
Yes,
The
yes. Well, and
dogs.
I was painting, and so I had the window open and the fan on because the RV is small, and I was like, I don't want to, give everybody a headache from paint. And now it's starting to get cold enough that I'm like, it's a little
Oh,
chilly in here. Can
yeah.
we turn up the fireplace and shut the window?
Oh, that
Because of
sounds so
course.
cozy.
Right. Well, and of course I would be painting when it's 32 degrees outside because what else is Christy going to do?
What
Right?
that
What else?
on brand. It's on brand.
Really is. And I've got
You're
of
gonna
all of my
get things
cabinets,
done regardless.
oh, right? I've got like 3 cabinet doors and like the top cabinets like kind of sort of painted, but not completely. So I see Michael over there looking at it and it's not entirely done yet. So I want to say like, don't judge it just yet. Um, so should we now go over a little bit of what our pricing is? Because we've kind of talked about everything
Yeah.
and of
Yeah, and we
course, you know,
yes, and we talked mostly about the one of our offerings, which is the complete package, just because I think that's the one we're most excited about. But we do have 2 other offerings at different price points. So if people just want to watch the videos, get the knowledge, have access to those videos for 1 year, not have access to the live Q&A sessions, but still be able to watch all of those videos for a year, and get that knowledge. That's a second of our offerings. And then for people who just want to buy a one-off class, so maybe you have always struggled with interpreting the cups suit, for example, and you just want to buy the class on cups. That is absolutely something we'll do as well, is just sell an individual class here and there. And Christy, I don't know if you have the link that kind of goes over the FAQ for our class. We can also share that with people.
Oh, I do.
How do I send
Let
that?
me find it.
There it is. There it is. I think that's how I
Did you
can
get it?
send.
Okay.
Weirdly, I don't think I can chat in the main chat. Maybe it's
can you
because
not?
I'm presenting. I don't think so.
So
But
if
that's
you
okay.
go,
That's okay.
so if you go down, you should see like a microphone, a camera, the person that's got
I
a plus
do
and the
see
3
those.
little dots.
Yes.
If you did you if you click those 3 little dots, that brings up a private chat, and you can put the link in there, and from there Ben can drop it into the chat, if that makes
And this
sense.
basically, yes, and this basically that's perfect. Thank you, Christy. And this site basically has answers to some maybe common questions people may have. So please feel free to check it out if you want to know a little bit more about how the classes are structured. And Nora, both of our email addresses are actually on that page that Christy just posted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ben, you got to be Christy in post. Thank you.
So, and I want to say too, for the other 2 classes, so we'll go ahead and just mention the prices. So, for the all-inclusive package, the lifetime package that we're so excited about, that is $350. And that is the live Q&A and all of the stuff, yours forever. The class where you get the 10 classes and no Q&A, just a 1-year access, that's $185. And then if you just want to purchase just 1 class, that's going to be $20. Now, for those more expensive classes, because we do understand that, like we want to make sure everybody who wants to get in on this can, we do have the option to do a payment plan. So what you would do is you would pay half, you would get the first 5 classes, and then when you were ready, you would pay the second half, and then you would get the last 5 classes. And if you purchase, like, say that you purchase a class just to see what it's about, and then you're like, oh, hey, I want to do this. Whatever you've already purchased will be applied to the package that you want to get. So I think the $185 one comes out to be like, what, $92.50 or something. And then the $350 one comes out to like $172 2 times. So, so that's kind of what that is. We put a lot of time and effort and thought and intent behind this. And so when we were pricing it, we wanted to be fair, but also, within reason, and but really reflect the value that we felt that it had. So that's kind of that, just real quick. And then you can check out the facts and everything like that. I always love talking more about the process. I mean, ultimately you've got to tell somebody how much something costs. But so so to join
So we're basically, if people want to join, because we're offering a couple of different payment options, and we're working with people on those payment plans Christy mentioned, if needed, please email one of us, first,
Mhm.
and we can kind of coordinate whatever payment we figure out with you via Venmo or PayPal. So yeah, um, and we'll probably get to the point when we just have one offering, one price, where it will just be purchasable easily online. But because we have multiple
Mhm.
options, it seemed easier for this first time offering this class
Yeah.
to kind of coordinate with each of us individually via email and then PayPal or Venmo. And we'll
Yeah.
see, this is kind of a learning experience for us too, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
Maybe everybody just wants to buy a one-off class, or maybe everybody wants to
Mhm.
buy the complete package. We don't really know. So we're also kind of offering these different options to see. So, you can all
Mhm.
basically tell us and show us, if this is interesting, and if so, which option is most interesting. And for people
Yeah.
who might be on a really limited budget and can't afford anything, please remember that we do YouTube videos. And Christy, you are on
Mhm.
every day, and there's a lot you can learn watching those
Yeah.
as well, and kind of teaching
Mhm.
yourself and picking up bits from those live readings over time. So the goal
Yeah.
really is to give free content, to give entry points for everybody, and then
Yeah.
give deeper options for those who have the finances to support that and want to deepen their journey in that
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah, and you're still like Karina said, I'm so glad you brought that up. You're still getting all of this content for free. So you're still getting the daily tarot with me. Karina and I are doing tarot uh monthly tarot readings together,
Yep.
which is a lot of fun. We take 5 people. Well, no, I think we decided 10 was a good number, right? It was like 10
Yeah, I
people
think
that
we
we
did
wanted
10.
to
There was
take.
one month where we did 18 or
Like
20, and
50.
it took a long
Oh,
time.
it was like 2.5 hours, and it was so fun. But at the end of it,
It
guys,
was
it
so
does take a
fun.
lot out of your energy. And I'm just like, well, okay, so now we know we can't do 18.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
let's revamp this. Um, but we do and Nora, you can join the Facebook channel right now just by hitting subscribe and hitting that all for notifications, and you'll get a notification every time that we go live. We don't I don't do meetup. I think Karina maybe does. I know
I
she's got a
do,
lot of
but it's
information
mostly
on her.
in-person meetups in Seattle for anyone who happens to be in Seattle.
Yeah. And and we're still going to be here talking about the astrology of things. Right now we're talking about archetypal energies. So we're still bringing all of that. This is just an additional offering. We've got some other really exciting things in the works that we're kind of kicking around. So stay tuned for 2025, because I really feel like it is going to be a big, vibrant, successful year for us. There's going to be a lot of opportunities to connect with us on different levels. And so we're very, very excited. And I'm just super excited about the tarot class because I have had so much fun doing this, and
Yeah,
I have
it's been
learned so much.
such a yes, such a great experience. And I think even just the intention, Christy, that we put
Yeah.
into this, coming
Yeah.
and really deeply inquiring
Mhm.
about each card and discussing each card, it really felt um, like the universe kind of reflected that back to us,
Yeah.
helped us kind of see some of the deeper levels. And so this
Yeah.
is a foundational class, but I feel like it's more than just a beginner class. And of course, there's
Yeah.
deeper and further we could go. There's always deeper, and maybe there will be a future advanced class. I don't know. But
Right.
regardless, yeah, it's foundational, but not like fully video.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
I think, Norak,
Um,
feel free to just email us. I think we typically communicate over email with anyone who's interested. And both of our email addresses are on that page. Other side of the
yeah.
world. Wow. That's exciting. That's so exciting.
Um, let's see. Is there I'm gonna look for something real quick. Is there any other thoughts that I mean, we have just
Yeah.
covered so much, and there's so much information. Is there anything that we've talked about, or that we're addressing in the class that we haven't mentioned yet? Major arcana, minor
I think,
arcana, is there
yeah,
anything?
I think I would just encourage people to think about, if if you want to take your tarot journey further, um, and if so, what you are looking for from that. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think, um, for many of us who are into some of the more esoteric things, or witchy things or hermetic things, it's like, oh, this tarot, astrology, Kabbalah. There's so many things we can learn. But I would encourage people to think about, what do you want to get out of tarot? If are you hoping to feel more confident in the messages you're getting from the universe? Are you hoping to read more confidently for others? Do you have questions do you feel like you can read the guidebook, but you still aren't really internalizing the cards? Are you not sure how to bring your own intuition to the
Mm-hmm.
readings while still having that baseline foundation? There are um, many pathways, I guess, many people could take coming to this class. But I think,
Mm-hmm.
for me, whenever I purchase a class, I'm always thinking about, what is my goal? What do I want to come out of this
Yeah.
class being able to do? And particularly for people who, will be interacting with us live, who are, buying the comprehensive package, um, you want to come to those Q&A sessions with some real stuff. Like, I want to learn this. I'm struggling with this. I want to get better at
Right.
this.
Yes.
So yeah, I would definitely just encourage everybody, to think about, why do you want to take your tarot journey deeper, and what are you hoping to get out of it? Um,
Yes. Yes. And it is it's it's just, you know, it's just been so much fun, and it really has, um, like, just the amount of knowledge has really been beautiful. And I think the biggest thing I want to do to encourage everybody is, even if you've been reading, there is something in this for you. So
mm,
just know that there is going to be some really good benefits. Hold on, let me check one thing. Um, oh, oh, guys, oh, this is good. Um, I had asked everybody this morning to send out some good vibes for, my granddaughter's dad. It turns out everything has actually worked out well. So thank you to
oh,
everyone who has sent out those vibes. You guys, that just means the world for me. It's very rare that I really ask something that personal, but to everybody this morning who sent those out,
mm,
deepest gratitude from my heart, because, it turned out to really be much better than it looked like it was going to be. So, I just wanted to share that I got a message. So thank you to everybody who did that. Witchy
mm,
Trista wants to know: do you have an idea of when, day of the week, and time the Zoom calls would be?
yeah. And I suspect, and Christy, you and I've talked about this a little bit, but our thought is basically starting in January, again, so that people can buy this as a Christmas gift for friends with a tarot
Right.
deck if they want to. So we'll be starting the first week of January, releasing a live class, and then each week there will alternate between, the pre-recorded video, and then the live class, so that you get to watch the class one week and then have a live FAQ the next week. And if you just, purchase the 10 videos or specific videos, without the full package, you'll get access to those as we release them. So, um, I suspect that, like Christy, you and I had talked a little bit about maybe releasing them on Mondays, releasing the pre-recorded videos on Mondays. So we might do the live Q&A also on Mondays. But if a lot of people aren't able to make Mondays, I think we would be open to doing weekends as well, because more people are typically available on weekends.
Right.
So yeah, we're going to play with that a little bit. Likely send out a poll to the people who are registered for the complete package to try to get as many people's availability as possible.
And
with Trista, absolutely, people should send in questions, and even if people can't make the Q&A live, we will absolutely answer those questions.
yes, I would. That's exactly what I was going to say. Because we know that people are on different parts of the world and everywhere else. So we want you to be, as much a part of that. And again, this is a learning curve for us. So seeing where and how it all works and is really beneficial, because honestly, if that's the experience you're looking for, we want you to have the best experience. Irrespective of wherever you fall in this, we want you to have an amazing experience with this. And so we would definitely make sure that you were able to get your questions answered.
Yeah,
So.
I'm envisioning kind of a Google Doc where everyone can drop their questions as they come up with them. Because I know for me, I often think of a question at the time, but then I don't remember the question by the time I'm in a live classroom with a teacher. And so I love the idea of having almost a running document where people can keep track of their questions real time. And then also it may be that other students may see a question that you put in, and that may trigger their own question as well. So again, it feels like more of a community, more of a collaborative effort. And we'll all of us together are always greater than the sum of the parts.
Right. And Karina and I do everything through Google Docs anyway. It's a very easy way to manage stuff. So I am a huge fan of Google Docs. Well, we are at just a little over an hour. Is there anything else that you think we need to add or say? Or I'm just so excited. I could talk for 6 hours about how excited I am.
I know, same. Yeah, I would encourage people, if you have any questions that aren't answered on that webpage, please email either Christy or me, so that we can answer your question and add that to our FAQs, because if you have that question, somebody else probably does too. And yeah, we're really excited to kind of run this for, it will end up being, since we're going to release a class every other week, it'll be about 20 weeks. So almost half a year. And yeah, we're really excited to kind of try this process, see how it goes. Yeah, we have a lot of other ideas for things in the pipeline. But yeah, really excited for this as kind of our first big shared offering.
Yes. And like I said, stay tuned to this space. We're not going anywhere. Nothing is changing. We're just giving you guys additional opportunities. And I would say to each of you guys, be mindful of this week's energies. Be mindful of December 7th. If you don't know what we're talking about, go back and check out the sun in Sagittarius and see what that is all about. I go live in the mornings for tarot readings Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm off on Thursday. I'm here at 9. Well, it's supposed to be 9:30, but if it's 9:35 and I'm not here, or it's like 9:45, I will be here. I'm probably just dealing with, with the fur babies. And then Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I do live content that is like, right now we're studying archetypal energies and things like that.
So beautiful. Yeah, those are so great.
And Karina and I collaborate. We've got another collaborator, Amanda, who's amazing, and she comes in December. It's going to be a little short. I am taking off December 23rd through January 6th. So stay with me for these first couple of weeks in December. And yes, Fear the Crab Cat. If you guys have not checked out the Y Files, do yourself a favor. go check that out. That is amazing. And Karina, before we do our typical sign off, why don't you tell us where we can find you? Because you are on YouTube and a few other places. So why
Yes,
don't you
I
let us?
am on. I'm on YouTube at Magic of the Moon Astrology. I do not go live as frequently as Christy does. I usually, when I see things lining up in the sky that are a little gnarly, that's usually when I post a video. I'll probably be posting one for the Mars retrograde because, as we talked about, that's going to be kind of gnarly. I also post a weekly kind of astro weather report, so we know what the astrology energies of the week are going to be on Substack. And I am Magic
Mhm.
of the Moon Astrology there as well. And then my website is magicofthemoonastrology.com. So I'm basically Magic of the Moon Astrology everywhere.
I love it. It's easy.
Easy.
And yes, yes, yes. So you guys, thank you so much for being here.
Yes,
If you
thank
have
you
any
all.
questions, let us know. You know, we will get you answers, and we're just so excited to offer this, and so glad for those of you who showed up. So, as always, guys, go conquer your world as only you can. We'll be here to help you light the way. We'll see you tomorrow morning.